February 28, 1943. Midnight, Norwegian mountains. 9 men on skis, moving silently through a blizzard. Temperature minus 30 degrees. Visibility less than 10 feet. They're climbing toward a fortress built into a cliff, a place the Nazis believe is untouchable. Inside that fortress, in steel drums, sits the key ingredient to Hitler's atomic bomb. Enough heavy water to change the course of human history. These 9 men are the only thing standing between Hitler and nuclear weapons. But here's what makes this story extraordinary. 6 of them are Canadian, and the world has never heard their names. This is not a Hollywood movie. This is real. And for 35 minutes, you're going to witness how a handful of Canadian ski troops saved civilization and then disappeared into silence. This is Canadians at war. And this is the story they didn't want you to know. Let's go back to where this nightmare began. Hitler invades Poland. The world sees tanks, bombers, the Blitzkrieg. But inside secret German laboratories, something far more terrifying is happening. Nazi scientists have cracked the secret of nuclear fission. They know how to split atoms. They know it can create an explosion unlike anything humanity has ever seen. One bomb, one city, gone. But there's a problem. To build this weapon, they need something called heavy water, deuterium oxide. It looks like normal water, tastes like normal water, but at the atomic level, it contains an extra neutron. And that microscopic difference is the key to controlling a nuclear chain reaction. In 1940, there was only one place on Earth producing heavy water in large quantities. Vemork, a hydroelectric plant built into a cliff in Rjukan, Norway, surrounded by mountains, perched 3,000 feet above a frozen gorge, accessible only by a single suspension bridge, a natural fortress. And in April 1940, Germany invades Norway and takes control of Vemork. By 1942, British intelligence intercepts a Nazi report. The Germans are producing 10,000 pounds of heavy water per year, enough to build a nuclear reactor, enough to create weapons grade plutonium, enough to hand Hitler the atomic bomb. Winston Churchill gets the report. He writes one sentence in the margine: "This must be stopped. At any cost, the clock is ticking." Allied command faces a nightmare scenario. Vemork is 200 miles inside Nazi-occupied territory. It's surrounded by 300 German soldiers, anti-aircraft guns on the roof, minefields around the perimeter, guard dogs, searchlights. And it's winter in Norway, the kind of winter where exposed skin freezes in minutes. The British try first, Operation Freshman, November 1942. 2 gliders carrying 34 British commandos are towed toward Norway by bomber aircraft. The mission is simple: crash, land near Vemork, storm the plant. Destroy the heavy water, escape to Sweden. What could go wrong? Everything. One glider crashes into a mountain, killing everyone instantly. The second crashes short of the target. The survivors are captured by the Gestapo. All 34 men are executed, tortured first, then shot. Hitler issues an order: no commando shall be taken prisoner. They are to be killed immediately. The British are devastated. The mission has failed. The Germans now know someone is coming for the heavy water. They triple the guards. Install more floodlights. Add landmines to every approach route. Vemork is now the most heavily defended non-military target in occupied Europe. Allied command realizes the truth. A large-scale assault is suicide. They need something different. They need ghosts. December 1942. The Canadian Rockies. A classified training camp so secret, it doesn't appear on any map. Here, Canadian soldiers are being pushed beyond human limits. skiing 50 miles a day with 80-pound packs, sleeping in snow caves at minus 40 degrees, practicing silent kills with knives, learning to navigate by stars alone. These are not regular infantry. These men grew up in the wilderness of British Columbia, Alberta, and northern Quebec. Trappers' sons, loggers, hunters. Men who learned to ski before they learned to read. The Canadian Army calls them ski troops. The Germans will call them something else. Burgeister, mountain ghosts. But right now, they don't know why they're training. One of them is Sergeant James MacLeod, 23 years old, from Banff, Alberta. Grew up skiing to school. Can hit a target at 400 yards while moving downhill on skis. He'll later write in his journal, "We trained for something. We didn't know what. They just kept making it harder. Longer, colder, until the weak ones quit and only the crazy ones remained. On January 15, 1943, 6 Canadians are pulled from training. No explanation. They're flown to Scotland. Then to a remote estate in the Scottish Highlands. Inside a locked room, a British intelligence officer spreads a map on the table. Norway, Rjukan, Vemork. The officer speaks, "Gentlemen, you're going to parachute into Nazi-occupied Norway, ski 200 miles through enemy territory, climb a frozen waterfall, infiltrate the most guarded facility in Europe, destroy Hitler's atomic bomb program, and escape across the mountains to Sweden." Silence. Then one Canadian, Corporal Thomas H. A. Burt from Quebec, raises his hand. "Sir, when do we leave?" The officer looks at him. "Tomorrow night. And if you're captured, the Gestapo will torture you until you talk. Then they'll shoot you. This mission is voluntary." All 6 Canadians stand up. "We're going." But there's a twist. They won't be going alone. 3 months earlier, in October 1942, 4 Norwegian commandos had already parachuted into the Rjukan area. These men were locals. They knew the mountains. They knew the weather. They knew where the Germans patrolled. Their code name Operation Grouse. Their mission, survive the Norwegian winter, scout Vemork, wait for reinforcements. For 3 months, these 4 Norwegians lived in a tiny hunter's cabin buried in snow. No heat, no contact with the outside world. Eating moss and reindeer they hunted with their bare hands. They were starving. Frostbitten. Half dead, but they were still there. Now, the Canadians are coming to join them. The new mission code name Operation Gunnerside. 6 Canadians, 4 Norwegians, 10 men total. 1 target, 18 steel drums of heavy water stored in the basement of Vemork. The plan is audacious. Parachute into Norway. Ski 200 miles to the target. Meet the Norwegian scouts. Infiltrate Vemork at night. Place explosives on the heavy water containers. Escape before the Germans realize what happened. No reinforcements, no air support, no backup plan. If they fail, Hitler gets the bomb. On February 16, 1943, the 6 Canadians board a British bomber. They're carrying explosives, skis, weapons, cyanide pills. The cyanide pills are not optional. As the plane takes off, Sergeant MacLeod writes one last letter to his mother in Banff. "Mom, if you're reading this, I didn't make it. Don't ask what I was doing. They won't tell you. Just know I died doing something that mattered." He seals the letter, hands it to the pilot. 2 hours later, over Norway, the Canadians jump into darkness. The mission has begun. The parachute drop goes wrong immediately. High winds scatter the Canadians across 10 miles of frozen wilderness. One man lands in a frozen lake. Another crashes through trees. Equipment containers are lost in snowdrifts. It takes 18 hours to find each other. By the time they regroup, they've already traveled 30 miles off course. They're exhausted, freezing, and they still have 170 miles to ski. For 11 days. They move only at night. Why? Because German ski patrols are everywhere. And in daylight, tracks in the snow are visible from miles away. So the Canadians become nocturnal, skiing through blizzards, navigating by compass and stars, sleeping in snow caves during the day. They eat frozen rations, melt snow for water, speak only in whispers. On the 8th night, they encounter a German patrol. 4 Wehrmacht soldiers on skis, 200 yards away, moving toward them. The Canadians freeze, literally blend into the snowdrifts. The Germans pass within 50 feet. One Canadian, Private Bouchard from Montreal, has his rifle aimed at the lead German's back. Finger on the trigger. Sergeant MacLeod puts his hand on Bouchard's shoulder. Shakes his head. No, because a single gunshot would alert every German unit within 10 miles. The patrol passes. The Canadians exhale. Close. Too close. On February 27th, after 11 days of skiing, they finally reach the rendezvous point, a tiny cabin buried in snow. Inside 4 skeletal Norwegians. Beards frozen. Eyes hollow. But alive. The Norwegians can barely believe it. You actually came. The Canadians don't waste time on sentiment. Show us the target. That night, the Norwegian leader, Lieutenant Joachim Ronneberg, spreads reconnaissance photos on the floor. Vemork, the fortress. He points to the cliff face. This is the only way in. The Germans think it's unclimbable. That's why they don't guard it. MacLeod studies the photo. A 600-foot frozen waterfall, vertical ice. In darkness. He looks at Ronneberg. You're joking. Ronneberg doesn't smile. The front gate is suicide. The bridge is mined. The cliffs are the only option. One of the Canadians, Corporal Durand, laughs bitterly. We ski 200 miles through Nazi territory just to climb a frozen waterfall at midnight. This mission is insane. MacLeod looks at him. That's why they sent Canadians. The attack is set for tomorrow night, February 28, 1943. One chance. 10 men. No backup. 1100 p.m. February 28th. 10 men in white camouflage ski down the final ridge toward Vemork. The temperature is minus 30 degrees. The wind is howling. Perfect conditions. Why perfect? Because the German guards are huddled inside. No one expects an attack in a blizzard. At the base of the cliff, the team stops. Above them, 600 feet of vertical ice. Searchlights sweeping the top. Guard towers silhouetted against the clouds. Ronneberg whispers, Canadians first. You're the climbers. MacLeod ties a rope around his waist. Looks up at the frozen waterfall. In his journal. He'll later write, I've climbed ice in the Rockies. But never at night. Never in combat. Never knowing that if I fall, Hitler wins. He begins to climb. Hand over hand. Ice axe biting into frozen water. Crampons scraping rock. One slip means death. Behind him. The other Canadians follow. Then the Norwegians. It takes 90 minutes to climb 600 feet. When MacLeod reaches the top, he's 50 yards from a guard tower. He can hear German voices. Lauder. Someone is smoking a cigarette. He signals to the others clear. One by one. 10 men pull themselves over the edge. They're inside the perimeter. Now comes the hard part. The team splits into 2 groups. Assault Team 4 men, including MacLeod, enter the plant. Place explosives. Destroy the heavy water. Cover Team 6 men, guard the escape route. Hold off Germans if discovered. The assault team moves toward the main building. They're expecting locked doors. Alarms. Guards. Instead, they find something shocking, a basement window. Unlocked. Why? because the Germans believed no one could reach the cliffside, so they didn't bother securing it. Arrogance. And it's about to cost Hitler the atomic bomb. MacLeod slides through the window, lands inside Vemork. He's in. The team moves through dark corridors, flashlights off. Navigating by memorized floor plans, they descend 2 levels, reach a steel door. Behind it, the heavy water production room. They place shaped charges on the door hinges. Set a 10-second fuse. Everyone takes cover. The explosion is deafening. Alarms instantly start blaring. Searchlights sweep the compound. German voices shouting, "Sabotage! Sabotage!" The Canadians rush inside the production room. 18 steel drums, each containing 50 gallons of heavy water. They have maybe 2 minutes before German soldiers arrive. MacLeod and his team work fast, placing explosive charges on each drum, connecting detonators, setting timers, footsteps echoing in the hallway. Germans are coming. How much time? Someone whispers. 30 seconds. Move. They run. Back through corridors. Upstairs. Toward the basement window. Behind them, German soldiers burst into the production room. Too late. The charges detonate. Boom. The explosion rips through Vemork's basement. 18 drums rupture. 900 gallons of heavy water pour across the floor. Down drains. Into the river below. Hitler's atomic bomb program just drowned, but the Canadians aren't safe yet. Chaos. German soldiers are everywhere. Sirens wailing. Spotlights sweeping the compound. Machine gun fire rattling in the darkness. The 10 commandos sprint toward the cliff edge. Behind them, Germans are shouting, "They went over the side! Impossible! No one can climb that!" Which is exactly what the Canadians are counting on. They rappel down the frozen waterfall. Sliding, controlled falls, barely holding on. At the bottom, they don't stop. They ski east toward Sweden. 250 miles away, the Germans pursue. Ski patrols, dogs, planes at first light. But the Canadians have a trick the Germans don't expect. Instead of running in a straight line toward Sweden, they split into pairs. Each pair takes a different route. MacLeod and H.A. Burt go north through the mountains. 2 others go south through valleys. 2 more follow rivers. The Germans can't chase everyone. For 6 days, the Canadians and Norwegians ski through enemy territory. They travel only at night, hide during the day, eat snow, sleep in ice caves. On March 6th, MacLeod and H.A. Burt cross the Swedish border. They collapse in the snow. They've skied over 400 miles, climbed a vertical cliff, destroyed Hitler's heavy water, escaped the Gestapo, and survived. Over the next week, 8 of the 10 commandos make it to Sweden. 2 are captured by German patrols. They take their cyanide pills rather than face Gestapo torture. Their names are never released. Their families are told they died in training. But the mission is a success. Hitler's atomic bomb program is crippled. German scientists try to rebuild the heavy water supply. But it's too late. The Allies are too far ahead. By 1945, when American scientists detonate the first atomic bomb in New Mexico, German nuclear research is still years behind. Historians will later say, if Vemork hadn't been destroyed, Germany might have had nuclear weapons by late 1944. The war might have ended very differently, and the men who stopped it. Most of them never told anyone what they did. After the war, Sergeant James MacLeod returned to Banff, worked as a ski instructor, died in 1989. His obituary mentioned he served in Europe during World War II. That's it. No medals, no parades, no headlines. The same story repeated for the other Canadian commandos. They came home, went back to normal life, and stayed silent. Why? Because the mission was classified until 1975. By the time the world learned the truth, most people had forgotten or didn't care. Today, if you visit Vemork, there's a museum. It mentions the Norwegian resistance, the British bombing raids, the brave local saboteurs. The Canadians get one sentence. Maybe. But here's what you need to understand. 6 men from Canada skied into hell, destroyed Hitler's atomic bomb, and saved millions of lives. And they did it so quietly, the world never knew their names. That's the Canadian way. No glory, no credit, just the mission. So, the next time someone asks you what Canada did in World War II, don't just talk about Juno Beach or the liberation of Holland. Tell them about the ski troops who climbed a frozen waterfall at midnight and stopped the apocalypse. Because heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear skis. If this story moved you, here's what I need you to do. Share this video. Not for me. For them. For MacLeod H.A. Burt, Bouchard, Durand, and the others whose names we still don't know. They saved the world in silence. The least we can do is make sure people remember. Subscribe to Canadians at War. Because every week we're bringing back stories like this. Stories of forgotten heroes. Stories that textbooks ignored. Hit that notification bell. And in the comments, tell me, what Canadian war story should we cover next? This is Canadians at War, and we're just getting started.